What is good, all of our listeners? Welcome to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam.
And I'm Liz.
And I'm back playing Red Dead Redemption 2! I don't know why I did that to myself. It's just a long game, but good thing we're talking about the case for long games today, which is super awesome. But yeah, this past week, I had a day off from work, and I was going through my games list and, looking for my backlog and saying to myself, like, what game do I want to play today? And I wanted to play Red Dead Redemption 2 into Red Dead Redemption, but there was so much of a gap that I wanted to play it again. So I booted it up thinking like, oh yeah, I'll just play a little bit today. And it was not a little bit. It was all day.
All day.
But it's good though. The more I think about Red Dead Redemption 2, the more I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm leaning towards that being my 2018 game of the year, because that's the game I spent the most time with and had the most fun with, in my personal opinion. I still love God of War, but man, I love Red Dead Redemption 2.
That's okay. They got enough words for 2018.
That is true, actually.
They dominated.
They did. But Liz.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
About?
Long Island Retro.
Woo! We're going to Long Island Retro. We're actually recording this on Friday. We usually record this on Saturdays or Sundays, but because we're going to be away the whole weekend to Long Island Retro, we're just recording this. That's the word. Recording this early. I have a monster.
I was going to say, he has a monster. It'll get better, hopefully.
It was also VBS week at the church, so we had an all-nighter last weekend. And after that all-nighter, it was VBS week, and now I'm trying to maintain energy to be away for Long Island Retro all this weekend, so...
Maybe we'll catch up on sleep on Monday.
That's a possibility.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but we're really excited about that. We're going to be talking about that probably next week's show, or you'll probably just see Instagram posts or whatnot about Long Island Retro, so it's really good. In fact, just a little bit of announcement, we're going to have two guests next weekend. But before we get to that, you have to wait to the end of the show to find out who the guests are for next week's show. But before we start our first segment for the show, let's just go through about all of our social media pages. First off, our Twitter, our official Twitter, @Gaming Groceries. Follow us there to find out all the updates. I tweet a lot from the Games and Groceries Twitter account. So
yes, he does.
I do a lot.
Even things that probably should be on his personal one.
Yeah, because I get mistaken. But
he does.
Yeah. But follow us @Gaming Groceries on Twitter, or you can follow us individually. I'm @Ace the Grocer.
And I'm @Journey First.
So you can follow us individually, be friends with us there, interact with us. It's awesome. Also, follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word, where you can find out gaming memes and updates about the show, and probably some pictures from Long Island Retro. So definitely give that a follow. As well as, well, by the time we listen to this, Long Island Retro is over. Oh well. But our website, gamesandgroceries.com, where you can listen to all of the episodes, as well as find out where you can listen to the audio version of the episodes from the website, as well as some articles that I write. And if you're watching us on YouTube, definitely consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so that you know when all of our episodes come out the day of, and then you're well informed of when the shows come out the day of. Isn't that nice? Also, if you enjoyed this episode, give us a like. If you enjoyed the full episode, give it a like, share with your friends, and comment down below. Also, if you're listening to us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, where you can leave feedback, reviews, whatever, definitely give us your honest star ratings as well as an honest review. And if you would like to read the review, if you would like me to read your review on the podcast, definitely give me an email. contact@gamesandgroceries.com, where I will say, hey, do you want me to read your review on the podcast? And you'll be like, yeah, do it in your Kevin impression from The Office.
You really want someone to dare you to do that.
I mean, if it means reading a review, totally. But that's the only voice I can do. But yeah, give me an email if you would like me to read your review on the podcast. So without further ado, I think that's enough jargon. Let's just jump into the podcast with our first segment,
Movie Minutes.
Movie Minutes is a segment where we talk about the movies that we watched in the past week, whether it be on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, or in theaters, and we like to tell you if we recommend it or we don't recommend it. And this week's movie is actually a Netflix original starring Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston called Murder Mystery. So, let's talk about it. What do you think? What's it about? Opening thoughts.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah?
There were some parts where I just disagreed.
Disagreed?
Yeah, I take certain when movies portray certain marriages a certain way.
Okay. Yeah.
I disagree with that, but other than that aspect, I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, you said disagree as if it's like, oops. As if it had like points to say about it.
No, I disagreed with their portrayal of a married couple.
Yeah, so Murder Mystery is just about this couple. Adam Sandler plays a sergeant in the New York Police Department. He's trying to become a detective. Jennifer Aniston is married to him. She is a hairdresser. And their marriage is kind of in an unromantic state where they're trying to keep the flame going. So they plan this trip to Europe. And on that plane trip to Europe, they meet this rich guy who then takes them to this yacht. And then the person who owns the yacht is killed. And that's where the title comes in, Murder Mystery, because Adam Sandler is trying to be a detective, yada, yada. Yeah, so I think you enjoyed it more than I did. But we'll get to our ratings afterwards. But I want to start off with my first note that the movie starts off pretty generic.
Well, yeah, it's the easiest way to get to know the characters.
Well, it's just this. It's been a story that's been done so many times. In that way, it's a working class husband who is a hard worker, but it's not romantic enough, and his wife is dissatisfied with the marriage and tries to like guilt him into planning this Europe trip. Like, you promised me a trip to Europe. That story's been done and told, you know?
Yeah.
And I expect more from Netflix, Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston. I expect a little bit more. And it was just a little too generic.
Yeah.
You know? You don't agree, but...
I mean, it's not that I don't agree. Like,
no. Yikes.
We need to get different coasters down here. But it's not that I disagree that it's generic. Like, yes, it's a very plain and simple idea. But you have to remember, how many movies has Adam Sandler released in his lifetime? A lot.
I really want to know the actual number.
Probably a lot. But saying that, it's one, he can pretty much do whatever he wants now, so get over it.
Yeah, I know.
He gets to do whatever he wants. But on top of that, it's like, it's a Netflix original.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like one of those things where he's like, this will be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So for the type of movie that it is, I don't think it's that bad. And even though it's a standard plot line, I still think it was really good.
It's a very safe plot line.
Oh, yeah.
And what I mean by that...
It's easy. It wasn't hard for them to get in character. It wasn't hard to rehearse or practice or anything like that.
Right. And what I mean by it's safe, and like you said, you kind of disagreed with the plot. It's safe in the way that, the husband's a bum and he's trying to work hard in his life, but and then portrays the wife as, high maintenance and demanding a lot. It's a very safe, like, you know those women, in marriage?
Yeah,
you know those men.
It's one of those jokes that probably our parents' generation would agree with more.
Yeah.
When it comes to the roles they
Which Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
From that generation.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean. It kind of starts off generic and it has like a generic kind of storyline. And my second note is that it takes a while for it to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it does pick up, it becomes almost cartoonish in a way.
Yeah, in a way. With the way things happen, it is a little, now that you say it.
It's a little cartoonish. The script is not solid, and it kind of flies forward. Now, keep in mind, this is an hour-and-a-half film. And I'm not trying to say that I'm trying to take this movie seriously in any way. I don't think this movie is meant to be groundbreaking or Academy Award winning. I don't think it's any kind of sense. So I'm trying not to take it too seriously. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it doesn't really respect the audience watching. It just becomes all the characters are cartoon-like, and it just pushes the narrative forward, but in a very awkward and convenient way.
It's corny.
Yeah.
Also, something that came in mind with the way we're talking about this is that I'm an Adam Sandler fangirl.
And I'm a movie watcher.
So I automatically love almost anything he does, except for Pixels. I refuse to see that.
Yeah.
Don't judge.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Adam Sandler. I was raised on all his movies, so you have to keep that in mind when I'm talking about this movie because it's Adam Sandler. Also, Jennifer Aniston's wife is very similar to me. Or Jennifer Aniston as the wife.
Yeah. She keeps like. Well, why don't you explain her character? I want to bring up a thing real quick.
So the wife character, of course, her husband is a cop, but she reads a lot of books. She reads a lot of the murder books and things like that.
Yeah.
So when this happens, she's like fangirling over a murder, and she's like, well, what should we do? We can do this and we can think. And she's like trying to come up with like, and she's saying stuff, and they were laying in bed trying to figure out who killed the owner of the yacht, and the husband was like, it was his wife.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it is. That's how it works. And he's like, in this % of murder cases, it's the spouse. And she's like, but that's what they want you to think. And like, she's trying to come up with her own things. And
she's getting distracted with wallpaper too.
And when they go in, she's like, this is a beautiful wallpaper. It's just the funniest. She reacts to everything, and I absolutely love it.
So I think you really related well to Jennifer Aniston because if you don't know, on the channel, if you're watching this on YouTube, I will try to remember to put a info link right here. Write down the time code, please. So right now, Liz is playing Detroit Become Human, which in one of the characters, Connor, he is a detective, right? And so one of our viewers, One Up Tempo, what's up, man? One Up Tempo, he actually makes a point. If you watch Liz's episode in this, One Up Tempo makes a good point. He says, I definitely LOL'd when there was an active hostage situation outside. And meanwhile, Liz says, we have to get 100%, guys. We got to do this. Ooh, let's see what they had cooking. Suspension of disbelief is real here. Do you remember what they were cooking in Detroit Become Human? Was it pasta?
I feel like it might have been pasta.
It was probably pasta, but you were distracted, and that's how you relate well to this. So, closing remarks here. In my opinion, the ending, it could not come to a clean ending either. It kept like landing and taking back off and landing and taking back off. And not in like a twist kind of way, but just it didn't feel like it could come to a clean landing. And the ending was, again, very generic. It's been done before. Like, and even the ending twist, I was like, oh, man, didn't see that one coming.
I agree that it ended and then restarted, but only once. Like, it ended, and then it's like, oh, wait, we got one more.
Yeah.
But other than that, you have to, if you think about this in a way of, like, if you were at an actual murder mystery dinner watching, they seem, that's how it's that corny way where it's not corny. It's like, oh, what a corny movie. It's like the actors are told to act extra.
Yeah.
You know, like it was meant to be so extra, and I think that's why I like it.
So, me and you, this is one of the first times where we kind of disagree with the ratings.
Yeah, our ratings are pretty far different.
Why don't you explain yours first? Like, what'd you get out of 10?
I gave it a 7 out of 10 because it was funny. I really enjoyed it. I would watch it again with a friend or someone. Like, I wouldn't sit and watch it by myself, but I would watch it again. The only reason I took points off was because of the portrayal of marriage.
Yeah.
We have very strong beliefs when it comes to portrayal of marriage, and that's the only thing that it got.
It just bothered you a lot.
Yeah, it just bothered me.
If it got marriage right, would you give it a 9 out of 10?
I would maybe give it an 8 or a 9, yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the comedy a lot.
There were some times where it made me laugh. Now, I gave it a 4 or 5. And because she gave it a 7, I went up to 5, really. But originally, I gave it a 4 just because it was just very average and just it was very vanilla. It was very safe. And I know you said that it's Adam Sandler. He can do whatever he wants. And I'm not trying to say that.
Yeah, you're not looking at it as a fan of Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston because you love Jennifer Aniston.
I do.
But you're looking at it more as a movie critic, as someone analyzing the quality.
Yeah, someone who likes movies a lot. I'm not a movie critic in any sort of fashion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just felt very safe to me. And it was just like your hour and a half average Netflix film with Adam Sandler. There's no really, it's nothing really to write home about. Yeah. And to me, like it was just, it wasn't a wasted moment of time, but it wasn't something I would like tell my friends about either. So that's why I kind of gave it a 5, that average. It was just a movie on Netflix with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston. That's really all I can say about the movie.
Yeah. So for the first time, I recommend it, but you don't.
Yeah, I don't recommend it, but you do.
I recommend it.
So if you
go off the personalities.
Right, yeah.
If you're like Adam, don't watch it. If you're like me, watch it.
If you're a positive person, watch it. If you're a negative person, don't watch it.
That's
true. But yeah, that does it. Again, the movie is called Murder Mystery. It's a Netflix original starring Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston. It's an hour and a half. I don't think it will waste your time. It's one of those things that we watched it in an evening, and no big bummer. So
I absolutely loved the very, very end.
Yes,
that was hilarious. Just putting that out. Look out for it.
So definitely check that movie out if you're interested. So with all that said and done, one last thing. If you want us to review any movies on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime that are included, just tweet at us or comment down below if you would like us to review one of the movies that you've seen or you want to see and you just want to see our opinions about it. Just comment it and we'll let you know if we can review it. We're not going to do movies minutes next week to give more time to our guests, but yeah, just let us know. With that said, let's move on to our second segment.
Top 3 Gaming News.
The top 3 gaming news is the game news that we saw in the past weekend. We like to rank it 3, 2, 1 just to keep it condensed and organized for you who don't keep up with the gaming news and just to find out what's happening in the gaming world through these top 3 gaming news. Ba-ba-boom.
Jeez.
All right, let's get into it. Let's start off with our number 3 gaming news, and that's about Halo Infinite. And for those who don't want to generally just move up to the next generation, you want to keep your Xboxes and you still want to play Halo Infinite, well, we have some confirmation from Frank O'Connor, who is the Halo director. He's the franchise director, and he confirms that the Xbox One version, right, the Xbox One version will still just look incredible on your Xbox One. So going off of that, just making sure my computer's muted because anytime ads come up on my computer, it's like, hey, shut up. All right. So speaking to, Black Mist 523, which is a YouTuber. There it is on the article. Speaking to Black Mist 523, O'Connor stated that the Scarlet will be the prominent citizen to Halo Infinite, meaning that, yes, it will be built for the next Xbox. It will be built for Project Scarlet. That is true. However, he also states that, but it will still look incredible on your Xbox One. He promises this, that saying like, listen, it's going to be cross-gen and it's still going to look great on your Xbox One, so don't worry about that. Any thoughts about that statement?
I think it's good that they're clarifying that.
Yeah.
But also good that they're not making any sacrifices. Like, they're not saying, well, if you want it to run well and look nice, you got to get the new one. They're being like,
right.
No, please don't spend $500 just to play this game.
Yeah.
So I think that was very kind of them.
He also has this to say from the interview. Frank O'Connor says this: the Xbox One is not going to be a second-class citizen. We are building it so it plays and looks fantastic on the Xbox One. Then everything else is plus, plus, plus. We've got a few tricks up our sleeves that we're thinking about, right? So this is actually really, really good news. Like you said, you don't have to go ahead and buy. We don't even know how much the next Xbox is going to cost.
I was just throwing a number out there.
There's numbers saying that it could be $700, which is mind-blowing.
That hurts my heart.
I think it's going to be closer to $500 in my opinion. But here's my opinion. As I read this article and he's saying, listen, it's going to look great, it'll be fine. And yeah, I mean, anytime it's a cross-gen, right? Like when we went to 360 to Xbox One, there were still some cross-gen titles. And yeah, they looked better on Xbox One, but it still looked fine on a 360.
Yeah.
Now, here's my thought on this. Here's my guess, is that Halo Infinite will look great on Xbox One X. It's going to look great on Xbox One X, but the base Xbox One is going to be a bit of a struggle, right? And the reason why I think about this is because I told you before that I'm replaying Red Dead Redemption 2. That's because the first time I played it, it was on my base Xbox One. It was on my base Xbox One. And I'm talking about the Halo 5 edition, like the VCR looking Xbox One.
That thing was huge.
Yeah, it was. And now I'm playing it on the Xbox One X, and it looks gorgeous.
I completely forgot that we just got that.
Yeah, we just got this past Thanksgiving. We got that on Black Friday.
Yeah.
$70 out of pocket. Boom.
We traded in a lot of movies.
I did, yeah.
Like a lot.
So that's the thing, though, is that I'm playing it now on the Xbox One X, and it's just looking phenomenal on the Xbox One X. However, when I played it on the Xbox One, I was still impressed. Red Dead Redemption 2 still looked pretty good on Red Dead Redemption 2, but I could see it was like kind of jaggedy. The anti-aliasing wasn't that great on the base Xbox One, but now I want to replay it on my Xbox One X, and it looks so pretty. It looks really pretty.
There's a notable difference.
Yeah, with HDR, 4K. So I think his statement is definitely true. Like, it's still going to look good, but on your Xbox One X. And I don't think he wants to say that up front, because if you just have the One S or the base Xbox, he's trying to make sure that you're still going to buy Halo Infinite. You're not going to be tempted not to. But I think it's going to look good on the Xbox One X. But on the base Xbox One, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. Any other thoughts before we move on?
I mean, yeah, I definitely agree with you where it'll look different because again, the Xbox One X is meant to have that higher quality,
right?
And for a game that is also being made to look higher quality, automatically it's not going to look as good on something that's not meant to run something of that quality.
Exactly.
How many times can I say quality in a sentence?
Quality. So let's move on to our number 2 gaming news, and really exciting news. Remember when we talked about that whole surprise mechanics and EA and Epic Games were put on a stand in the UK Parliament, and we said that this is going to be the start of a new era? Well, according to the ESA, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo will start requiring developers to disclose loot box odds. Yay! All right.
Fun.
Let's talk about this really quick, because our number 1 gaming news is a big topic. No, it's not that. But several video game industries leaders are announcing new alternatives to help consumers make more informed decisions of their choices and into making sure that they make the right play style. So this is really good, because now when you buy a loot box, right, through games like Overwatch or Rainbow Six Siege kind of does this. What Rainbow Six Siege does, every time you do a match, right, it shows that you could get this pack, right? But that's like getting a pack after a match, not necessarily opening it. I've never once bought a loot box, so I'm not sure how it works. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure how it works, but what they're going to do is before you buy that thing, before you buy that loot box, before you buy that card pack, before any of that, it will say, these are your odds of getting a rare item. These are odds of getting an ultra item, whatever. It will start to disclose your odds so that now you have an informed choice instead of just saying like, hey, pretty loot box over here, come get. So what do you think about this?
I think it's a step in the right direction. Because then what's the likelihood of me getting the thing that I actually want?
Right.
So I think it's good. I still don't know how it'll help everything because when it comes to the aspect that they're thinking of kids buying these things. Yeah. And when it comes to that, you think kids aren't really going to think of a certain percentage as good or bad. Right. Like if I saw 70% of something I wanted, like a 70% chance, I was like, yeah, I don't know if that's worth it. But a teenager or a kid seeing 70%, they're like, that's almost 100. Yeah. I'll take it. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. I don't think the kids will actually,
They might not even notice it.
No, they won't.
They'll just be like, okay, bye.
Like we said in our last video, a commentary video, where teenagers don't really think about consequences because they haven't really faced those consequences yet. It's not that because they're stupid. It's not that at all.
It's not how their brain works. That hasn't developed yet.
Well, not even that. They just haven't faced the consequence yet.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It hasn't developed. Like, those things develop as life happens.
Right. Now, there is no official timeline set when this will be implemented, but it states that it will be implemented by the end of 2020. What's coming by the end of 2020? I believe the next gen is going to be transitioning in the holiday 2020.
Yeah.
So that's a good time to transition because games are getting much bigger, much more mainstream, and that means more parents are going to be buying more consoles. Therefore, you need to disclose those things, right? Yeah. So that is the timeline, is that saying that like it has to be done by the end of 2020. Now, some of the publishers that are included in disclosing these odds, right? It says it here in the article, which I'll have every article that we cite down below in the description. So if you want to read these articles, definitely check those out. But part of these are Activision Blizzard, yikes, Bandai Namco, Bethesda, hey buddy, how you doing? Still love you. Bungie, Electronic Arts, Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony, Take-Two Interactive, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers, and Wizards of the Coast will now be relying on disclosing their loot box odds. Bethesda.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think that this will cause these companies to stray away from using loot boxes?
No, not in the slightest. I don't think it will, just because they'll still sell it, but they're going to find loopholes to the system. They always do. With the whole gambling thing in Belgium, right? EA found ways to go out under that, and they got caught by that. That's why they're in the UK Parliament, right? They're going to see this, and they're going to put out a fun way to disclose, like, hey, you have 70% chance, and then, like you said, they'll find ways to make sure you still buy it, even if you only have 17% chance. They're gonna find a fun way for you to incentivize of still buying that.
Yeah.
So laws will still be in place. However, shady business practices like this will always find loopholes. You know, I mean, they say it all the time with cigarette brands, right? Even though I've never really seen a cigarette commercial like directed towards kids, but it's like, oh, well, cigarettes are bad, but guess what? Fruit flavored, boom, yeah. And that's the thing. They're still going to find ways to sell it to kids. They're still going to find fun ways to incentivize you to buy those loot boxes, even if you have to disclose the things. I don't think they're going to be scared of this. It's just that now they have to rethink their practices now. So that's my thoughts on it. Any other thoughts on this before we go to our number one gaming news?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah. So, number one gaming news. No, it's not that. We're probably going to stay clear of that topic. You probably know what I'm talking about. So, just a little bit of an insight here. I thought about that. I thought about stating it, but I don't think our audience is big enough. I don't think our repertoire towards that topic, right? And we're talking about violence in video games here. I don't think we have a broad enough stance and enough trust to our audience yet that we can make statements of what we think about that. Plus, we're not trying to be a political podcast in that way. We do have opinions about it.
But they're personal.
Right. So it's not going to be that. If you have any other ways, I know Review Tech USA did a video about that. There's plenty of other YouTubers that will talk about that. But for us, we're not trying to be any political side here. So we're just staying clear from that topic. So we're going to go to another political statement here with Epic states that they will protect and support developers after the harassment by Ooblets. This is actually going to be political. I thought of that as soon as I said it. I'm like, wait a second, Adam. Hold on. So let's talk about this. Okay. So last week, the developers of Ooblets, right, which is a fun, nice little game. I like it.
So cute.
Yeah. They put out this statement, this blog post, announcing that their Epic exclusivity deal, right? Now, I remember they put this out, and I didn't really read it just because, one, I'm not a mainstream PC gamer. I am a console peasant, okay? So I didn't really read the post, but then backlash started to come out with this post. I read it, and I see why people thought it was kind of condescending and rude. Mm-hmm. You know, there's all these statements about like, listen, if you don't like it, then don't buy it. And there's way more things in this world to be worried about, like global crises and, climate change and all that. And saying that, like, this is our game, not your game. We don't owe you anything. And it's kind of attitude. So I read it and I see where they're coming from, the fans.
Mm-hmm.
However, fans have come out and harassed these two developers. And that's where Epic comes in and states that they will protect and support developers after all of this. Now, opening thoughts. What do you think about this whole situation?
I do think that they could have written it in a better tone,
Mm-hmm.
but I also think that people could have taken it in a better way.
Yeah.
I think everyone's kind of in the wrong here, in a little way. Not like everyone's wrong. This is terrible. They're on one side. They're on another. It's just in a slight way. You've all taken it kind of bad.
Yeah.
You're all wrong.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. It's just like on the side of now. Before we get into that, before I get into my opinions about it, I want to read part of Epic's statement on the harassment and abuse and trying to protect their developers. Right. This is the last paragraph of the statement, which I will also, I'll link to Kotaku article and which also links Epic's statement. So the last paragraph of this states, Epic is working together with many game developers and other partners to build what we believe, once again, Epic, what we believe will be a healthier and more competitive multi-store world for the future. We remain fully committed and we will be steadfast. We will steadfastly support our partners throughout these challenges. Right. So they say that they're going to protect their studios. They're going to make sure that it's a healthy market. And they say, again, what we believe will be a healthier and more competitive multi-store. Not going into what I think about this. So, again, I'm trying not to be political here. We had a conversation with Mr. Matty Plays, link right here, if I remember. But we had, thank you, dear. You're writing down the thing. So we had a conversation about being apolitical and what that actually means. We're really not on any political side. We're kind of looking from the outside in here, right? We're really looking from the outside in. And for us to look from the outside in, it's kind of like from this political climate, we've lost this area of discussion, conversation, getting to know each other in a rational sort of way. So I think that the Ooblets developers, whenever he got this backlash, they were kind of condescending in a way. It's like, well, we don't owe you anything. You're a bunch of toxic baby gamers. They would use language like that, toxic baby gamers. And on the same end in front, people who were in the Discord trying to like backlash these two developers, they used some really messed up statements, like really.
They were acting like toxic baby gamers.
Yeah, they were being incredibly anti-Semitic. They were being homophobic. Like it was like really toxic words, and I was like, "Yikes!" So what Ooblets developers were saying is like, "You're a bunch of toxic babies. You don't even know who you are." The other end, "Oh, you're just SJWs," and a lot of words I'm not going to repeat on this podcast ever. And then it comes to this this fake statement where Ben Wasser, one of the creators of it, who is also Jewish, he had this fake statement saying that, like, I wish I could say that gamers belong in gas chambers.
Yeah.
That is so messed up. And Ben Wasser said, as a Jewish person, I can't believe someone would actually fake this.
Yeah.
Why would you say that a Jewish developer would say that you belong in gas chambers? What is wrong with you, by the way? Like, goodness gracious. Again, I'm not trying to be political here, but I'm really not. This isn't anything to do with politics. This is having to do with being a good, decent human being.
Yeah.
Like, what is it with this political climate that people decide that they can just name call and just harass people and not ooh, wow, there goes my argument. I can't even say anonymously.
There you go.
Boom. So, like, what's wrong with everybody just to say, like, name calling and hateful speech? And again, nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with being a good conversational human being and building relationships through, guess what? Conversations. So, I think out of all this, on the one side of the Ooblets devs, these are your customers. These are your potential customers. We can't just go out to our podcast, like our listeners, our viewers, right? And to say that like, well, we don't owe you anything, just watch, just subscribe. That's kind of harsh, right? So that's one side. But on the other side, the Discord servers, they don't owe you anything.
Also, you're kind of proving their point.
They're kind of proving their point here. And Epic is just trying to make sure that every developer is protected, supported, that these kind of statements aren't said just because you sign an Epic exclusivity deal that protects the studio, by the way. The Epic exclusivity deal makes sure that if they don't break even on their sales, they're not going to shut down their studio because Epic will continue to fund it up until they break even, and then all the profits will be to them. So Epic is making sure that studio stays in place, that their lights are on. It's just such a bad situation. And I talked to a developer. I won't say who because I don't want his or her or it. I don't.
Anyway.
I tried to give it away, but I probably already did. But anyways, but yeah, I talked to the developer, and they said to me that, like, listen, at least it's some kind of publicity, right? Saying that the game industry is focusing on Ooblets. And I actually said, like, you know what? That's true, because out of all this, I want to buy Ooblets just to support this studio here. Because I was kind of on the fence about Ooblets, like, it's okay. And now after all this, I was like, I'm going to buy Ooblets just to support these people.
Yeah.
So, closing thoughts on this?
Pretty much same stance. Everyone is a little wrong.
Yeah.
The people in Discord were kind of proving their point.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Like, there were statements I didn't show you, Liz.
Yeah.
Like, there was some. Oh man. Like.
But that's what I mean. Like, they were calling you toxic people, and guess what? You proved their point by acting toxic.
Right.
But yeah, I'm kind of on your side where it's like, now I kind of want to buy it.
Yeah.
One, because it looks adorable, and two, because I feel bad.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's just like with the Ooblets devs, I understand they became defensive because when people attack you, like
it's hard to not take it personal. So I understand where they're coming from in the article. Like, they were just like, can you just let us do our job?
Yeah.
You know? So but when you're a professional, you shouldn't write or do things when you're from a personal standpoint, you know?
But at the same time, when you're in the middle of an attack hate mob on the internet, I understand how you can get super defensive like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So why don't we all just,
why can't we all just get along?
Honestly, why can't we all just understand people's situations and just move on with our lives? If you don't buy it on Epic, it's going to come out on Xbox. Hey, Xbox, how you doing? I know you don't like Xbox, but hey, time to come over. Xbox One X. Nobody likes Xbox. I'm the only one. Even Liz watches PlayStation. So, all right. Enough about that. What are your thoughts, by the way? Comment down below. What do you think about the Ooblets devs situation? Definitely comment down below. Like I said, I tried to be not a fence sitter, but just someone looking from the outside in and just saying, like, man alive, what is wrong with you? But yeah, so form your own opinions. We'll have all the articles linked down below. Give us your opinions. So that being said, let's move on to a happier subject. Let's move on to our last topic.
Talkie time.
Our Talkie Time segment is something that we do every single week, and we just try to take a topic from the gaming industry and just talk a little bit. Have a coffee tables kind of simulation here and just talk about the gaming industry in a nice, pleasant sort of way. Our dog looks so adorable. Oh no.
He's so cute. Come on, zoom in. Sorry, guys. This is
important. This is like Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Snap. No, Pupper Snap.
Pupper Snap.
Pupper Snap. I got him. Click. You move on to the next level.
Yeah.
Post it on Instagram.
I don't have our Instagram. You haven't given it to me yet.
Rat's bananas. So, with that sort of, we got kind of heavy in that last segment, so we promise let's move on to a less angry sort of talk. Let's talk about the case for long games. Now, if you've been listening for a while, I believe it was episode 32 that we talked about.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, the case.
We meant to do this a lot sooner.
Yeah, the case for short games we did before, but now we don't want to do the case for long games, right?
Because they can be good too.
Right. So let's first define what a long game is. I look back at my notes for the last episode, and we defined short games to be 2 to 25 hours. 25 hours being like the cutoff. Like 20 hours is, you should be cut off, and 25 hours like, okay, you're pushing it here. Now, I'm defining long games to be 30 to 80 hours. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, definitely. I think so.
Yeah, I think a 30-hour game is kind of like the shorter end of a longer game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with 25 hours. If I were to say to you, 25 hours, that's a long game, because I think Spider-Man was 25 hours. And to me, I was like, whew, that's kind of a long one, but it's kind of manageable.
Yeah.
So 25, 30 hours is kind of your shorter, longer game, and then 80-plus hours. Like 80-plus we're talking about. So I think that's what we're talking about with longer games. And with long games, these can be an investment to satisfy, right? An investment to satisfy, because whenever you look at games on howlongtobeat.com, before I buy or download any game from Game Pass, I'm looking at it and I'm just like, okay, how long will it take me to beat this? And I see like 50 hours, like, nope, moving on. But yeah, let's just conversate about this. Now that we have the definition, 30 to 80 hours is our long games. 30 being like the shorter end, right? Now, longer games can fatigue you a lot quicker.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Now, I'm going to be talking a lot about Red Dead Redemption 2 because...
Oh, that's a long game.
That's a long game, friendo. So it can fatigue you quicker if the story isn't worth seeing. And I believe that in longer games, right, the narrative is much more relied on. Now, when I say the narrative, we're talking about longer story games. We're not talking about grindy games. We're not talking about... Destiny 2 is kind of a grindy game, but it does have a story to it. So we're not really talking about games like Destiny 2 or Minecraft or anything like that.
Like something that you can clearly play on to an endless amount
right,
of time.
Yeah, not like grindy
Sims.
games or Sims, right? We're talking about narrative-driven longer games, right? But the narrative is much more relied on longer games more than anything else, because if you're going to go forward in the narrative has to drag you back in, right? So what's the longest game you've ever played? Can you remember? I should have asked you this before.
I mean, I don't play that long of games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I finished a game yet.
No,
I finished.
Heavy Rain, I think, is your longest game.
Probably.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think Beyond Two Souls I haven't finished yet, but that was one of my longer ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't play extremely long games.
Right. And I think that's because it becomes daunting on you. You kind of want to move on to another game.
Yeah.
And it kind of fatigues you after a while. It's like, am I done yet?
And I don't play them enough.
Right.
For it to be worth it to play an 80-hour game, it would take me like 2 years to finish if I played a game that long.
Whereas for me, it's just like I just slump over.
A couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, Red Dead Redemption 2, when that first came out, it took me 60 hours to beat the story.
Yeah.
And it took me a month to beat it.
About a month.
Yeah. It took
and that was with a week vacation.
Yeah, that was with a week.
You played it all week on vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't ignore me, I promise. Not like that. Like, he just played it once a day.
And that's the thing. Like, I think they can fatigue you just because you're just thinking, like, is the ending going to be worthwhile here? And it's just like, how much more longer do I have?
Yeah.
It's just...
Is the story keeping me interested?
Right, yeah. And that's the thing with, just recently I beat God of War, right? And God of War, I think, it pushed the narrative kind of forward here, right? You want to know more about the boy. You want to know more about Kratos. Am I going to get the Blades of Chaos or not? Where is it? I don't know. I have this little axe here. But it kind of pushes forward to see like where the character's narrative's going to go.
Yeah.
Whereas, and I think I'm going to be comparing Red Dead Redemption 2 a lot. I'm sorry for that because it's just been on my mind lately.
It's really long.
I remember the last chapter of Red Dead Redemption 2, and I remember playing it the first time, and I'm like, is it over yet? Are we almost there yet? And then you get to the epilogue chapters, and there's two There's 2 epilogues.
Yeah, that was a long epilogue.
And I was just like, is it over yet?
But I can say that in that week that we were away, we stay with your mom when we go away.
Right.
Your mom was very interested in the story.
Yeah, it's so good.
She was sitting there watching you play and asking you questions, and by the end, she was interested in knowing the ending. So
yeah,
it's an interesting storyline, but there are times where it's like, all right, we're getting too long. It's like the movies where it's like, all right, this was a good movie. Are we done?
Exactly. I think the narrative needs to be, if you want to make a long game, the narrative has to call for a long game, to flesh things out. Which brings me to my next point, right? Long games allow you to live and immerse in the world, to flesh out a world, right?
Yeah.
And it allows you to be more connected with the environment.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's where your memories more come in, right?
Yeah, it definitely gives you more time to explore and know your surroundings.
Yeah, speaking of exploring, right now you're playing Detroit Become Human, and you're exploring a lot. What goes through your mind when you're trying to explore this game?
It's really dark.
Yeah.
It's dark there.
Yeah.
But not a lot comes to my mind when I'm playing the game. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Well, you want to know what things are cooking.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm interested in the futuristic stuff. So when I see that stuff, I think it's cool. But yeah, I just explore and look around. I'm like, wouldn't that be cool if it looked like this?
Yeah. Now, you haven't played any Fallouts or Skyrim?
No.
Or Elder Scrolls?
Watched you.
Yeah. Now, does it seem kind of like daunting to you that you have to explore? There really is no kind of directing, like you have to go this way. You can just go wherever you want, and it's just very eclectic. Now, the Outer Wilds is way more. Outer Wilds, not the Outer Worlds. The Outer Wilds is very eclectic in a way of just like, all right, bye.
Yeah, that seems pretty daunting to me. Even starting The Last of Us, that got me in trouble. That has a direct path, but you have options of what to grab and what to use and
what the craft.
That got me in trouble.
Yeah,
that was why it took me like 6 months to get back into it, because I was so mad that I picked the wrong weapon and used it at the wrong time.
Have you beat Last of Us yet?
No, we haven't gone back to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I need your help, because when I can't kill someone, he does it for me. So we need to be sitting there at the same time.
Dag.
Also, I forget all the controls now, so that'll be fun to get back into, and I need to finish it before the second one comes out.
But yeah, honestly, but yeah, I like how longer games put you in a world for a lot longer, and you get to form kind of like a memory map in your head because you are just immersed in these worlds for so long that you are now a part of this world. Whereas a shorter game, the worlds can be very immersive for sure, and it can look gorgeous. But at the same time, you're in it for such a short time until you replay it again, right? That, it doesn't really leave an impact on you. And me personally, not in a way where longer games do, right? It just seems to me that anytime you talk about like what gaming worlds come to mind that really bring back the most memories, it's from longer video games, right? A lot of people bring up like from Ocarina of Time and a lot of Zelda games like Breath of the Wild. Like people are going to be remembering that world for a while, and it's just kind of like it allows you to flesh out the world much more easily because you're in it, right? And even when I beat Red Dead Redemption 2, again, it's going to be in my mind. I'm so sorry. But when I beat Red Dead Redemption 2, it's in the same world as the first Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
And you go to this place, and if you go further enough, you will actually encounter the town of Armadillo, right? And I was like, no way, is that the same Armadillo? And I actually went to it, right? I went to Armadillo, and I just explored the town of Armadillo. And I'm like, oh, man, I remember here, there's a saloon. And, oh, that's where this main mission comes in. And that's where this side quest is with the bear. Go, growl. And because I spent so much time with the first Red Dead Redemption, as soon as I saw in Red Dead Redemption 2, memories just started flooding back because I spent so much time in that world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now, are there any worlds that you remember as a kid?
As a kid?
Yeah.
We were a Nintendo house.
Yeah, but there's a lot of good worlds in there. Yeah, I guess you didn't really play like world immersive. It was mostly Sims and Super Monkey Ball.
No, I did not play that. It was my sister's. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why. I just really hate Super Monkey Ball, but my sisters loved it and it killed me.
Right.
But yeah, there weren't very immersive worlds that we played. We played those quick, like, little games.
Yeah.
Very Nintendo-esque
games
and
quick,
Sims.
family-friendly Nintendo titles.
Yeah. And Sims.
Sims.
That's really all we played.
Yeah.
So, no, not from when I was younger.
Yeah.
Except for Sims.
Now, I wrote down some games that kind of bring back a lot of memories, and it seems like the classic video games are much longer games. It's the greatest story ever played. Just did an episode on Pokemon Red and Blue.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, those are kind of longer games. Kind of, you still have to invest into it. Like, I just beat Pokemon Crystal again. And that took 25, 30 hours, something like that, because, I get distracted and I wanted to train my Pokemon a lot. But I wrote down some things. The first game, surprise, surprise, Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm sorry. I love that game so much. And the first Red Dead Redemption. Final Fantasy X and 7, Knights of the Old Republic, Witcher 3, all the Witchers, right? Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Dragon Age Origins. Dragon Age Origins is so long. It's such a long game, but it's so good. Dragon Age 2. We're going to pretend that doesn't exist. I still remember playing Dragon Age 2, and I returned it. I was just like, no, thank you. I don't want this anymore. But the first Dragon Age Origins is just such a long game. I think it's about 50 to 60 hours, depending. But it's such a massive world with a lot of lore in it, and it just immerses you in that lore, and you just want to know more and more of the lore. More lore, please. And that's a game that really brings me back. And as well as Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is... See, I was struggling with this because Kingdom Hearts it's a long game, but it's on like the shorter end of long games.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's definitely beatable. I think it's about 30 hours. So it's on the shorter end of long games, but it's still a game that brings back a lot of memories for a lot of people on the first island, and you get to really immerse yourself in it. And Kingdom Hearts is another one it's a classic. Knights of the Old Republic, a classic. Again, another shorter end of the longer games, but still. Dragon Age Origins, right? Any Zelda game except for Skyward Sword. But Red Dead Redemption, right? These are all classic games. Final Fantasy VII, these are all classic games, but they're classic because they're longer, and because they're longer, it really sticks in your memories here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't want you saying that, like, video games can't be classic if they're short. I'm not trying to say that, right? I'm not trying to say that if a game is too short, it will never be a classic.
Yeah.
But it just seems to me that the games that always come back in your memories, right, are the longer games.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But then you have games on the Genesis that weren't so long. Like you got Sonic, right?
That wasn't a long game.
No, because with Genesis, there wasn't a lot of... I don't think you could save on the Genesis. I'm trying to remember if you can. I haven't played my Genesis in a while.
Remember.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You couldn't save games, so they had to be short. They had to be playable in an afternoon, right? Because you couldn't save it, right?
Yeah.
So, no, you can't save on the Genesis. I'm probably going to be demolished in the comment
Someone's
section.
gonna yell at you.
I know, but I'm pretty sure you can't save on the Genesis. But I know I'm going to be demolished. Write in the comments below. How stupid am I?
I really don't remember.
Yeah. But and that's the thing. It's just like the classic games are your longer games because you're a lot more immersed with it, right? You're a lot more immersed with it. And now games are getting bigger and bigger and bigger that to find a shorter game now, it's terrifying. That's why when the Outer Worlds is releasing, they said it's going to be between 14 and 40 hours. Between 14 and 40, depending on your choices.
Oh, depending on your choices. I was
Depending
like,
on your
how is
choices.
that a range?
No, depending on your choices. So you can either beat it super quick, right, and replay it again, or you can really be invested in it.
Okay.
The choice is really yours, right? Now, talking again about those kind of games, right? Now, Assassin's Creed did this kind of thing where Assassin's Creed games were pretty beatable within a day. You could totally beat Assassin's Creed 2 in a day if you really wanted to. But now you got Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey. Odyssey is garbage. And it's a lot harder to beat those games because they have all these DLCs and all these side quests, and you have to immerse yourself in that world. In fact, I believe Odyssey was the one that said that they want the gamers to be immersed in a world for months and months to come, for like 6 months.
I don't want to be immersed in a world for months.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I want to move on.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Is I wasn't a big fan of Odyssey. I was not. I'm sorry. That's a topic for another day. Origins is way better. Fight me at Ace the Grocer. But now I want to move on to my last 2 points here, right? When you only have the budget to buy a few games per year, like maybe 1 to 5 games per year, that's your budget, right? You probably want those games that you can just dive into for a long while, right? We talked about the shorter games where you don't have a lot of time in your life. You got a lot of money because, you got a job, but you don't have time anymore, right? Shorter games are the way to go to get, a lot more gaming time in. But for longer games, if you don't have the money and you want a game that you can really get yourself immersed with, longer games are your way to go, right? Because you really want to get invested in your games, right? I highly recommend, there's this one game I really like. I believe it begins with an R.
Oh my goodness.
Red Dead Redemption 2, that's it. Genius. But that's the thing. You really want to get yourself immersed in a game. Like, let's say you buy a console. Well, first of all, buy an Xbox, get Game Pass. But you buy this console and you're just like, I really want a game that I can just immerse myself in. And that's where longer games come in, because you can dive in for a good long while, right? Sometimes between 30 and 80 hours, some might say. But what longer games are you interested in playing?
I would like to. Now, these are ambitious because I'm not good at games yet.
Red Dead Redemption 2?
No.
Oh.
Assassin's Creed, I would really like to play.
Yeah.
I would still like to play God of War.
Yay.
I know there's more. Can't remember.
Spider-Man?
No.
What? Spider-Man's awesome!
I don't need to play it though. Those are the top 2.
Yeah.
Right now. I'm really interested in Assassin's Creed because I love history stuff. I think it's cool.
And plus, that's my favorite franchise of all time.
Yeah, so I've already seen most of it.
Yeah.
But I would like to play for myself because it's interesting.
Yeah.
So that's like the big one.
Yeah, exactly. I really want to replay all the Assassin's Creed on the channel, but here's the other thing. Talking about longer games, we only have time to give you 1 episode each of us per week of a Let's Play.
Yeah.
And so I was like thinking about that. I was telling Liz about this, that if I decide to play a longer game, like I really do want to play all the Assassin's Creed franchise for the channel, but then the channel will start to turn into an Assassin's Creed channel because that's all I'll be playing.
Yeah, and it'll be months.
Yeah, years. Well,
I mean, for even just one game.
Yeah. That's the thing. We only have time to give you 1 Let's Play episode per week. In
the future,
totally,
we can do a game a day, but or an episode a day. I mean, not a game a day, but an episode a day.
If you would like me to play all the Assassin's Creed, write in comments below. Tweet at me.
That's all you want to watch for the next 2 years.
Yeah, I will totally play it because I love Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
love it. Except for Assassin's Creed Origins.
He'll make.
No, Odyssey. Woo, no.
He'll make the sacrifice.
I will make the sacrifice. But that's the thing, is that like long games can really immerse you in the world. It can really invest you. It can really leave a long-lasting memory in your membranes, right? It's a good experience to play a good, solid, long game like Red Dead Redemption 2. But that's the thing. I want to go back to the point that long games can fatigue you. They can. It is possible. The last episode, the case for short games, right? They can leave you dissatisfied. That is the flaw. That a short game, you put your time in, and it's just like, oh, is that it? Or that wasn't a lot. You kind of leave yourself kind of like, oh, okay, cool. And then long games can be like, is it over yet?
Yeah.
So,
I like the right in the middle ones.
Yeah, kind of like the 20 to 35 hours.
Yeah.
And they can almost seem unbeatable. Like with you, whenever you play a longer game like Beyond Two Souls, which is kind of a longer game, sort of.
Yeah.
Or like Last of Us or Assassin's Creed, all the Assassin's Creed, it can almost seem unbeatable to you, right? But once you finally beat it, it's just, it's so satisfying that you want to go right back into the world again.
Yeah.
Because you were so connected in that world that you just want to go right back in. You know, another big game world that I want to jump back into, and I didn't, Horizon Zero Dawn. I still haven't beaten it because I got so caught up because I was playing God of War for the Greatest Story Ever Played podcast. I was playing Gardens Between, which is very, very short. But I played it 2 or 3 times for the next podcast I'm going to be on. And then there's
so popular.
Yeah. and that's the thing. It's just like, I want to go back and beat these games, but there's so many long games out there that I'm just like, you have to decide which ones you're going to invest your time in. But that's the thing. Once you finally beat it, it will leave you with memories for sure. Right? It will leave you with really lasting memories. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's the thing. I like my longer games. I enjoy them. It's just that, do I have the time for them anymore?
Yeah.
Right? Because that was my point in the case for short games, is that I don't have time anymore. In fact, the guest that we're going to have on next week, we're actually, the top, actually haven't told you yet.
Yeah.
It's actually going to be, we don't have time to game anymore. Right? It's just that as adults with adult responsibilities, we just don't have time to play video games as much as we did as we were kids. And I wish I had so much more time. Even if we go full time with this YouTube thing and podcasting, right? If we go full time, unfortunately, as a gaming channel, we won't have enough time, you know.
Yeah, other than Let's Plays.
Let's Plays and all that, but that's still work on the channel, right? There's no leisure time there, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I love long video games, very long video games, because it just leaves you immersed and you want to go more and more into it, right? But unfortunately, we don't have time for it, right? But yeah, any other closing thoughts about longer video games that come to your mind as you adjust your headphones?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not really, just because I actually don't play a lot of long games.
Yeah.
I just really got into playing games. So I'm still working my way up to it.
Yeah.
But I'm excited too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the next long game you're gonna try to play after you beat Detroit Become Human? Do you have anything that comes to mind?
I still want to finish Beyond Two Souls and The Last of Us. Once I finish those, I want to start Assassin's Creed, but we only have it on the Xbox, and I want to play it on the PlayStation.
No.
Can we just rebuy all of them?
No.
Please.
Dag.
Well, no. Okay, so let me just defend why I play PlayStation over Xbox. The controller is smaller. I am tiny. I have tiny hands.
I have big hands.
Look, see? I have tiny hands.
Yeah.
So I like the smaller controller, whereas you have the Duke, which fits your big bare hands. So that's why. Moving on.
But I think this is a good way to end our discussion here, right? Sorry if we have any low energy, because like I said, I had an all-nighter.
We haven't caught up on our sleep yet.
Had an all-nighter, and then VBS week, and then preparing for Long Island Retro. My mind is kind of fried right now. So
you should ask Adam the weird things I've said this week. My mind has been fried.
Yeah.
All week. Yeah.
So this past week, I was driving to VBS, and I get a text from you saying, like, oh, do you want me to edit your final episode of Gardens Between? And I was just so confused. I'm like, wait, what did I just schedule to upload? Like, what was that? And I freaked out. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she were like, like, so I can edit it, so you can upload. I'm like, it's already scheduled on YouTube. What did I just upload? And so she's confused. I'm confused. I'm like, what are we doing here?
He was like, you already edited it. I was like, oh, because he texted me at work. He's like, oh, finished Gardens Between.
Yeah, for the third time.
He finished a whole playthrough off camera.
Yeah.
But when he texted me that at work, I was like, oh, I got to edit that. Okay. But it was like my second night that I didn't have to edit anything that night for the first time in a couple weeks. So I was like, oh, so I told him, I was like, oh, can I just do it tomorrow night? He's like, you already did it.
Yeah.
I was like, and I sat there. I was like, oh, never mind.
Oh my goodness. So I think we'll just end it there. So I think this has been a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But I promised you, if you made it to the end of the episode, I would tell you who our next guests are. Our next guests come from another podcast within the Gamecast squad. It is the Overachievers Gaming Podcast. Hello. It's with Charlie and Dom. If you haven't heard them yet, again, Overachievers Gaming Podcast, you can find them on Radio Public, which is a great site to support podcasters on. It's like iTunes, except, they like podcasters. But yeah, they're on there. They're really fun personalities. One's in Connecticut, and he actually works in the film industry. And then Charlie works in the film industry. Really awesome dude. And Dami Pastrami, he is into martial arts, and they got in really good guests on their show. So we decided to bring them on the show to talk about No Time to Game, because again, they're very busy people, and they're Twitch streamers, and they haven't had time to stream because their lives are just so busy. So we're going to spend some time next week just talking about that with the Overachievers Gaming Podcast. Definitely give them a listen, check them out, and we'll have them on next week. So, nothing else to say. So, once again, we want to just remind you of our social media pages. Oh, no.
This is what you get for drinking a Monster on the show.
Yikes. Once again, let's talk about social media. You can find us on Twitter at Gaming Groceries. That's our official Twitter handle of the podcast. And you can follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
So you can follow us individually and be friends with us there. And make sure we don't slip up and say something stupid. You can follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word. And you can check out gaming memes there and updates about the podcast, as well as pictures of our dog. We will definitely post that on the Instagram.
Yeah, I'm going to get it after this episode.
Yeah. And so then you can check out our website, gamesgroceries.com, where you can listen to all the episodes, as well as find out where you can listen to us on the audio version of the podcast on the website. As well as if you're watching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed this content, definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know when all of our podcasts come out. We also do Let's Plays and discussion videos. So if you enjoyed that kind of stuff, definitely click that subscribe button, as well as give us a like and a share if you enjoyed it, if you think a friend would like it. And comment down below. What are your thoughts about everything? So, with that all said and done, I will see you in the next episode. Catch you later.